Lovers of Epoch, welcome back to Epoch. Alright, before I get into the interview today, I would love to apologize for something. One of the supporters of Epoch told me that I should have done like a comment thing after the interview, like give my comment, share my opinion, and all that. I would love to apologize for not doing that in case you also feel the same. And the reason I haven't been doing that is that I like to leave this interview open and whatever you decide, whatever you think is best. But you don't worry, I'll give my opinion from now on. I will start giving my opinion. So let's get to the interview of today. Hey, welcome to Epoch. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Tolu. I'm a student. I also like to identify as a self-development enthusiast. And for the purpose of this meeting, I am or I was a rape victim. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So when I was 7, I met 2 girls and then we became friends. But we're age mates. Though we're age mates, they were a class ahead of me. So that means they went to secondary school first. So immediately they left for secondary school, I became really lonely. And then when my parents couldn't take it anymore, they had me go to write the entry exam for GS1. Mm-hmm. And then I became a student of their school too. So we got to see each other often. And then our lives seemed to return to normal. So when I clocked 10, it was one of these normal regular nights in school. And then there was this particular day, it was on a Sunday after dinner. Yeah, so it was a boarding school, so I was supposed to after dinner go to prep, night prep. Mm-hmm. So on this particular day, I was feeling really pressed after eating dinner. So I felt, let me quickly go and use the toilet before heading to the class. But the rule in the school at the time was if the gates of the hostels get locked, you cannot get in for any reason, no matter what the reason is, except it's an emergency. That's only when you get in. So by the time I ran from the dining hall to my hostel, which was almost the closest to the dining hall, the hostel gates were already locked. So that means I had to find an alternative. Mm-hmm. Except if I wanted to mess myself up. So if you are familiar with unity schools, with the structure of unity schools, there are usually a lot of bushes around. So most times when you can't get access into the school hostel, maybe to the toilet, the next option is to go into the bush. So it was like the norm, but it wasn't really the norm, except of course, like my case was, the hostels were locked. So I felt, okay, since it's already late, I don't want to go really far into the bush. Let me just quickly use let me quickly go into the bush, but not too far. So I went to the back of the hostel, and then while I was bending down, I felt strong hands around my neck, and then the other hand covered my mouth, and then the person kept taking me far into the bush. Remember, I didn't want to go far into the bush because, well, it was already late, and then I'm scared of snakes. So no, that was a no. I didn't want anything that would make me say, I was bitten by a snake. So I was trying to scream and fight, but well, it was just a 10-year-old against the X-year-old man, and then I felt the pressure was really much, and it felt like if I was struggling too much, I'll probably lose all my strength, pass out. So I was struggling, but well, I had to bring it down. And then at some point, the guy put me down, and he was like, okay, this is the thing, you will keep quiet, and then I do what I want to do, and then you go. So I said, okay, and then so immediately he put me to the ground, and he said what he said, and I said okay. Then I started shouting again. So he took me. I was like, so maybe the message I passed was, oh, this person is very disobedient. She's not going to play by the rules. So he kept taking me further into the bush, and it was already like 6:30, 7 p.m., 7:30. Around that time, I don't know what the time was, but it was dark. Yeah, so He actually in the bush. It's a really long story, but I got raped in the bush, and then there were a lot of strange things that happened that he did to my body. Okay, the first thing I need to say is before that time, before the whole incident, I had been sexually abused on so many occasions, countless occasions. So, well, the issue of the penis in the vagina was not strange, but the other sexual act or the kind of strange act that he did, like trying to put his hands into my vagina, trying to, I don't know, get me opened by force, trying to also touch other parts of my body. It was a really traumatic experience. It's something I can't really forget. So after all of that happened, I ran as fast as I could and I left Sisen. So I don't even know who did it. You get? So up till now, except if the person is going to come and say, okay, I raped somebody 10 years ago, then we'll begin to sort out the details and I'll be like, oh, okay, you did that to me. I really don't know who it was. So I ran away and then I ran into the matron's lodge. Though she wasn't around, I saw 3 of my classmates. So one of them went to the school area to go and tell them that, hi everybody, Tolu just got raped, blah 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 blah. And then the school was thrown into disarray and all of that. Then I had a cousin at that time who was in SS2. So somebody went to call her and then she took me to the school clinic. At the school clinic, they had, I don't know, they tried to make me understand that they tried to, let me just say, debunk my argument or my my case. They're like, how would you say he got raped? The school is secure, blah 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 blah. Abi, you saw your menstruation for the first time and you're freaking out. And I was like, I know what happened to me. I just got raped. So they took me to the hospital. And then at the hospital, with the little I could make out from what the nurse from my school and the doctor on duty discussed, it so happens that there was penetration took place, and well, for somebody who knows the law in that aspect, that means I was raped. But up till now, the school never clearly admitted it. They still, even when they took me back, they took me from the hospital and took me to the school. No medications were given. All they kept telling me was I saw my period for the first time and I freaked out. Though they told me to write reports and all of that, but still they still didn't do anything about it. Nobody took it up. The only time that I know that people talked about the case after that, I mean teachers and senior staff, was when they wanted to say, oh, you these children that will just be saying what your eyes did not see. How can you see your period and then say that you got raped? Yeah, that was the only time that people really talked about it. So outside that, I got raped at 10. Nobody really took any steps to help me out of it. But well, here I am today, telling my story again. So yeah, that's it. Okay, it has in a lot of ways, but basically I think it just, honestly, to be honest, I didn't get to think about it. I mean, like, when I was already, it happened when I was in just 1, so at just 2, I wasn't thinking about it that much. I just had concerns about the perspective or the perception of people about me. I mean, people in school who knew my face, even after that time, people always call me and say, hey, what's your name? I'll be like, Tolu. And they're like, yeah, the Tolu in just 1D. Yes. When you the one that got raped that day, then luckily, if I had my friends around or I was with somebody who was a bit older or in another class, the person would say, Tolu, let's go away from this place. Or the person would try to change the topic. I was just concerned about not being fished out from the crowd and then carrying about the tag of this was the girl that was raped. So after that time, I actually didn't really think about it again. And then I just tried to do other things. Then, coupled with the fact that I even left the school. So not until my 200 level, I didn't actually get to think about it at all. And when I now started to think about it and the effect that it had on my life, that the experience had on my life, even right from age 10, it was a lot. It was really overwhelming. It wasn't like I'd been thinking about it before that time. I just started thinking about it. So the feelings that I had were as overwhelming as if it just happened like a day ago, some weeks ago, you get. So it led me into depression. I had suicidal thoughts. I withdrew from people. I didn't want to talk to even my favorite boys, and then it just kind of messed me up. It messed with me, and it was really bad. But honestly, I feel like outside of all of those things, I mean, the mess that it caused me and all of that, I feel like even they need to get more strength somehow. I mean, moving from it, I'm not saying getting ripped gives you strength. I'm just saying finding a place in my heart that I know, okay, it is not my fault that I got ripped, and then I've been able to move from it. I've still not gotten any form of professional help or anything, but I've been able to just help myself to move away from it. So it has given me strength, and it has just made me think that, okay, yeah, you are raped, but it doesn't really mean that it is the end of the world, if you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically that's it. A lot of things, like, yeah, this is, okay, there's no even need to say, I was going to say, this meeting might not be happening, but yeah, that's like the slightest of it all. So if I didn't have that experience, a lot of things would have been different for me.
Okay.
First, I would be telling a different story today, I probably still, then, yeah, I know that I would be a sexual purity advocate. Yeah, like a Ubonge one. I'd be an Ubonge one. Now, I'm not saying that being raped makes me think that we should not advocate sexual purity. I'm just saying, for me, it feels like there are some things that I've not really been able to come to terms with when it comes to agreeing with the situations or the things that have defined who I am. Do you understand?
Yes.
And no matter what story I tell about my life, there will still be a place where I have to mention that I have been raped. Do you understand?
Yes.
So you're like, if I didn't have the experience, I'll probably be advocating for something like that. Then also, I feel like being raped has helped me to come to terms with it has made some of the advantages now that people are fighting for, or the changes in the society that people want to see. It has made them resonate with me. Like, okay, I understand that nobody owns my body as a woman, because I don't own any man's body. Do you understand?
Yes.
So yeah, it has made me understand that, okay, when you want to touch somebody, you need consent. Even if I understand that you should, maybe your friends who like physical touch and all of that, but for people who, the case is really complicated though. I mean, the issue of touching and all of that, but yeah, when it comes to people who do not want to be touched, you understand that you need their consent. It's different when somebody say, but I'm just touching you now. Me, I'll be like, don't touch her. Do you understand?
Yes.
But another person is like, it's just a normal touch. I feel like if that had not happened to me, I'd have been like, it's just a normal thing. And then I feel like some of the ideologies I have now, sexual orientations, like how I really perceive some certain things, I wouldn't perceive it that way. Like for me, okay, this is I was talking to somebody today, and person was telling me, like, okay, I met the person a few weeks ago, and then 90% of the things that he has tried to talk to me about are sexual. It's not like he's trying to ask me to have sex with him, but he just wants to, he wants to relate with me on the level of my sexuality, and I don't want to talk about it because I don't see why I should put that on the line. And honestly, I think it is because of the things that have happened before. For me, I would never be a freaky person. No, it's it's never really going to happen for me, because I don't think I can explore my sexuality to that area, because I'll be like, oh, is it really comfortable? I mean, I didn't start having sex because I wanted to start having sex. It was because somebody forced me. And I feel like maybe freakiness will come with, just something that you just think of and you're like, oh, let me try this, let me explore it. No, it's not really something I'd like to do. So I think aside from that, I think every other thing would have played out normally, but my sexuality would have, been, the story would have been a little different from what it is now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So when I got raped at 10,
Yes.
I could have turned to any other person, but it never occurred to me to turn to God. Do you understand?
Yes.
I come from a Christian family. I prayed when I could that time, even now. But I never really thought of it as, well, the person you should go to is God. He will understand everything.
Mm-hmm.
Though I tried to confide in some people. I remember this nurse who she worked in the school hospital, and then she was really close to my family. So even when I tried to explain stuff to her, she always dismissed it. And there was even this time that I was like, okay, let's go and break the news to my mom. And then she dismissed it as usual. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I could have easily gone to confide in God and all of that, but it never occurred to me. Even in 200 level, when I began to rethink the experience, it still didn't occur to me to think that, okay, maybe God is somebody you can confide in. Though a few times, a few times when I cried, I would say, God, I'm not blaming you, but these things could have been different. I mean, the situations could have been different. It could have been averted or something like that. But it never really occurred to me to blame him or talk to him about how I felt. Not until maybe my 300 level, I started picking up on, okay, God is beyond just waking up in the morning and praying to him and thanking him for life, and committing your day to him. You can actually talk to him the way you talk to your friends. Even the intimacy could even be more than the one you have with your friends. And then I think that was where I began to pick up the habit of talking to him about the slightest feelings. I didn't start with talking to him about my rape experience. Then at some point I was like, if I can sometimes ask him that, should I, maybe, is it rice we should eat today or spag? So why can't I tell him something that is really important to me? Like, I've been raped before. This is how I feel. Sometimes I feel filthy. I feel dirty. I feel unworthy. I don't understand. I feel like this whole thing, maybe I could have caused it in some way, or maybe something happened that maybe, I don't know, maybe at the beginning of the creation, maybe I didn't fall in line. Maybe I was late to the registration room. Though I'm trying to exaggerate now, but well, there were deep feelings that I couldn't really explain at the point. But I felt like maybe something was wrong with my life. The fact that I've been sexually abused before that time. I mean, as a very young child, somebody that you see and you be like, hey, person doesn't know anything, and then you discover that a lot of people at several occasions were sexually abusing her, and then to crown it up, she got raped at 10. So I felt like, okay, what is happening? So, but in talking about all these things and just talking about my feelings to him, when I discovered that I could, it has helped me to find peace and to know that regardless of what happens, God's perception of me doesn't change. I mean, remember I said when the case happened, I was just trying to hide from the crowd, and I was careful about people's perception of me. So, that stands in contrast to me and God and how I think he feels about me. I know that, okay, he doesn't see me as unworthy. He doesn't blame me. He still thinks of me the same way he thinks of me. He has maybe even better plans, and all of that. And then I know that regardless of what happens, I still have him in my corner always. to find strength, encouragement. Sometimes I might just be on the road. Okay, let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Sometimes, let's say I'm just living my life, and then I can just hear a story of, do you know that girl that got married yesterday was a virgin? And I'll just get angry. Like, okay, she's a virgin, so why am I not a virgin? What's wrong? Why can't I also have this kind of story? You understand? And then it just goes on, and then I start rambling. I don't know. At the end of the day, I just feel like, okay, let me go and pour it all on God.
Yeah.
And then when I do that, I find peace, and then I understand that, okay, I mean, I'm not here to live another person's story.
Yes.
And the fact that somebody is a virgin doesn't really make the person special. If you get,
yes,
it doesn't mean that maybe something is wrong or something will go wrong in my marriage. Please, if you're a virgin and you want to keep being that way till you get married, I encourage you, please do so. So, no, say something is more special than another thing. I'm just saying that is how I've been able to find comfort and peace with God,
Yes.
Just talking to Him, things I can't really tell my family, the feelings I get, and then sometimes how I want to react to them. Yeah, God has really helped me through it in a way that nobody can do that. Yeah, so that's it. Oh, yeah, a lot of things. Sexually, yes. I mean, okay, when it happened in just one, I didn't really have any urges, like sexual urges and all of that. But during this time that I was writing junior work now, in just 3. It was after an exam, I think it was Yoruba. I just noticed that I had some form of urges, and I was like, what's going on? Even the teacher was like, you're always happy after the exam, what's wrong? Oh, well, I couldn't even figure out what was wrong with myself. So then there was an empty room, so I decided to go there. Then at the end, I just figured that, okay, this is purely a sexual urge, and somehow, I don't know how, but you need to satisfy it. You understand? And then that was how I began to masturbate. So yeah, I've also read stories in the paper of how people get raped. There was this particular story I read about maybe a 3 or 5 year old girl who got raped by her father, and then she became addicted to masturbation. I remember, so I was like, oh, my case is no different. So I think it's one of the things that come with masturbation, that come with sexual harassment or abuse or rape. Yeah. So I've actually not been able to find out if it is if it's like a compulsory consequence that you see if you have ever been sexually abused or raped. But I know that for me and for the girl I read about in the newspaper, it happened. Do you understand? And then sometimes, even now, you're like, okay, I have sexual urges, but nah, I don't want to go there. Though sometimes you have to give in, but most times you're like, okay, maybe not, maybe yes. Sometimes it's just, you don't really know what to do with these things. It's not as easy as somebody who hasn't really done any of these things before, and then you're like, okay, we can always wait a little longer. This is for somebody who, the feelings are compulsive. Most times they are very compulsive, and then you feel like, it's getting at me, and if I don't do something about it, I might end up overreacting at the end of the day. And you're like, okay, the quickest means to this thing is masturbation, blah blah blah, and all that. So I guess there are other things that come with it. Some people feel like getting raped makes you hate sex, makes you hate men. Well, I don't feel that way. I mean, I'm not saying my own experience is not that way, but what I do know is I can be very paranoid. I mean, I could be in a room with even the most trusted man in my life, and I'll be like, no, please God, I hope something that happened 10 years ago is not about to repeat itself. And then it's like I'm overreacting. This person is just there, existing, not even thinking of anything related to that. And then what I'm doing here is getting paranoid. And then, okay, let's say sometimes this is going to be really well, I'm just going to say it anyway. It's like when you are with somebody and then let's say both of you are making out and stuff like that, and then let's say you just have a flash, or not really, or let's say you're just thinking and like, nah, I've lost interest, and then you're like, okay, please, I'm done. Can you let's finish up this whole thing. Sometimes I get scared that this person might not understand that you need to understand that, or you need to get my consent or whatever to go on, and then I'm like, this is going to turn into rape, and honestly I'm going to make it's like I'm taking a revenge for the things that happened that time. There was even a time that I used to say I would go to the university to study law so I can sue the secondary school, but well, it's going to be a repeat case if I have to revisit it, coupled with the fact that it is with the federal government. But most times I'm just like, okay, if somebody tries this thing with me, it's going to be like me getting my revenge for what he does or what he did and what happened 10 years ago. Do you understand? So I'm like, maybe I shouldn't really do this with this person because I don't want to go there. Yeah, so basically that's it. Yeah, a lot of messages.
Okay.
First, whether you're a man or a woman, okay, I think what's common with women is sexually abusing younger males. So please don't do it. It's not something you should do. And as a man, don't think of even raping anybody. It's unheard of. I mean, but well, it's uncultured of you. It's a very animalistic behavior to rape anybody. And then whatever happens, the rape victim is not to blame. He or she doesn't carry the blame for whatever happened. I mean, it could have been averted, but then you chose to go on with it. So that means it is not the victim who is to blame. And if at all you think that maybe the victim has some blame in it, then try to make sure that you find out the details of the whole event. Don't find out part details. Find out everything that happened and then apportion the blames appropriately. And do not, and that is me consequentially saying, do not be a rape apologist. Also, if you have been raped, I know it's going to be tough, but please be strong. It's not the end of your world. It's not the beginning of the end of your life. Do you understand? It doesn't mean that at that point you begin to experience some degeneration. I mean, honestly, to be very honest with you, your vagina is the most, how will I put it? In this case, is the most useless tool you have to succeed in. Do you understand? So whatever happens to it, it doesn't affect the value that you have in you to give to the whole world. I mean, the whole wide world. It is the least useful tool. So that means regardless of what happens, there's always a place of strength, of comfort, and even of growth. You mean you just grow out of everything that happens. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to take a week. Sometimes it takes years. I mean, it took me 7 years to even remember that I was raped. Before I now started thinking of it and all of that. So it's going to take years to move from it and all of that. But your vagina is the least tool that you use to give value to the world. Also, let me give a disclaimer at this point. This is the second time I'm going to be sharing my story publicly, even though sometimes I would prefer to remain quiet. And the reason why I'm doing it is not because I enjoy sharing my story. I like to sleep at night without thinking or recapping what happened. But most times, I understand that if you don't really put yourself out there, I understand that sharing your story can make you really vulnerable. I mean, even before I came live here, I was thinking, what would people say about me? Would everybody believe me? But honestly, that's not what matters. I know I am not lying. I'm not trying to do plenty shalaye, but I know what happened to me, regardless of what anybody tries to say, regardless of who is trying to debunk whatever facts I'm giving. I know what happened to me, and then you know what happened to you too. Nobody knows it like you know it. And then I'm sharing my story because maybe you will be able to draw one or two lessons and strength from it. You understand? And that is what people do. People who happen to be in the same circle as you, who have been surrounded by the same circumstances and situations like you, they are there to give you strength. You know, it's like a form of network where you share your experiences and all that. And that is the only reason why I'm doing this. I don't enjoy sharing my story. It's not really palatable, you know, but just understand that there are thousands of people out there who are moving beyond what happened to them. It's tough. Nobody is saying it's easy. It's not easy for me. It's not easy for you. It's not easy for somebody who moved on years ago. But we understand that sharing our story makes us find strength, gives us comfort. You know that you are not alone, and then you can move beyond it. I mean, I could have easily succumbed to my suicidal thoughts, and then I would not even be here to share my story. But then I'm here, I'm sharing it, and then I'm also dishing out the same thing to you. Don't succumb to those negative thoughts that will come to your head. There are people who will try to blame you. Up till today, if I talk about my rape experience, I mean, even with people who, you know, with the kind of, should I say, civilization that has come to the world at this point, there are people who still tell me that it didn't happen. And look at me, a 10-year-old girl who was in something like an oversized housewear getting raped. Do you understand? So it's all. Don't blame yourself for this things. It already happened, but there's a place where you find strength and encouragement. And if it takes you looking into the mirror and telling yourself every day that you are beyond the things that have happened to you, please do it. And if it takes you changing your environment, you know, okay, for somebody like me who was sexually abused before I got raped, I still see there's this particular guy that I still see, and then even he knows that he can't come near me because, well, I could try to kill him. And that's one of the reasons why I don't really like to come home and all of that. No, honestly, I could try to kill him if I had a choice, and then maybe I'm going to go to jail for it. But I'm learning to understand that these things don't really give you the satisfaction that you need. Do you understand? Sometimes you feel like if you are able to strangle the person who raped you, maybe you feel better. Maybe you will for just a tiny moment, but trust me, it's not going to last. The only thing you would ever wish for that would maybe sort out all the pain or soothe all the pain is that it never happened. But then I don't think that ever happens, if you get what I'm saying. So just try and find strength, encouragement, any way that you can. Run away from bad energy, negative thoughts, people who will not support you, people who will try to even victimize you than you already are, people who will not try to support you or give you strength and courage in even the littlest ways. Please run away from them. Find help if you can. If you can, find help. That's what I'm just going to say. And please, to the society too, try to not be, how will I put it, Yoruba. Don't be that tree that is full of thorns for victims of that. Don't be the reason why they are pushed to the wall, and then even the wall self is crumbling on them. Try to support people. At least that's the least you can do. Even if you feel like, okay, this person is, I don't know, maybe has some blame in it, but the person was raped. Blame the person for whatever the person did, but your blame should not include how the person dressed, please. But just try and support people. Don't try to debunk their experiences and say negative things. No, it doesn't help. So, because it could have been you, it could be your daughter, your sister. Though I don't even pray that anybody gets raped. But just be supportive, you know. So that is it all, Deborah.
Okay. Thank you so much. We've gotten to the end of this interview, and I really appreciate your presence here. Yay!
Thank you.
Dear lovers, that was the interview for you. What stood out for you? What would you say was the main thing exactly in this interview? Because for me, it was extra super. It was too emotional for me. Talking about what was said after the rape and then everything else, it was just way too much to handle. And I just keep wondering that maybe if they had handled the situation better, maybe the trauma would not have been as terrible as it was. What do you think? What do you think about that? And then so we can understand that rape is just the beginning. Then after that, the aftermath is not just about healing from the experience, accepting the fact that you were raped. What about the struggles, pornography, masturbation, and all that? And don't think that that's just all. I'm still going to talk about masturbation and pornography, and I think it's something you should anticipate for, because there are going to be some really shocking news on that, and I really want to anticipate. But on this, let's send our love to Tolu and for every rape victim out there, because you're super strong. This is something you did not ask for. It just happened to you, and the world throws something at you and then expects you to deal with it regardless of your age or your maturity or whatever. So being able to deal with what the world has thrown at you, it's a big deal. It's strength. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. And something significant that I want us to understand here is that regardless of what happens to you, it does not mean God loves the other person more than you do. And God is very, very present, and He understands the pain that we feel when these things happen to us. And there is always this reminder that, oh, okay, whenever anything happens to you, you might have questions like, why me? Why not the other person? Why this? Why that? God is always ready to give us the answer to that, and is ready to help us through the process. We need to understand that no matter what it is in life, if it's not rape, it can be another thing. So we have to come to realize that life happens, and when they do, we have to go to God to help us through it, because it's life. Life does not give you what you deserve, but what you demand of it. So, regardless, God is very present. Let's not forget that He's very present. I don't know why this had to happen to Tolu. I don't have all the answers, but God has all the answers, and He can answer that. Don't dilute the idea of God because of a bad experience. Don't do that. Don't do that. Bad experience did not come from Him. The world is a wicked place. A very wicked place. We need God to survive. Please leave your comment, like this video, and share with others. Thank you. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, you're welcome, and please subscribe to my channel. I love you guys. God loves you.